Hi there, my name is Dan. I'm 23 years old, and this is my story about how I got involved with BFO. So I'm originally from England, as you can probably tell, and when I was 17, my dad unfortunately passed away from bladder cancer. My dad lived with cancer for 4 years, from between when I was ages 13 to 17. And I remember it was a really difficult thing to go through. I think that one of the most difficult things I remember about living with a parent who was going through a terminal illness is kind of seeing how somebody who used to be really lively and enthusiastic and energetic became kind of their body would become, emaciated over time, and they wouldn't be able to do as much, and they had to go through the horrors of chemotherapy and dealing with the treatments that were so devastating to their body. I remember that the last day that my dad was alive, I remember that he would hardly be able to move. He was just so exhausted from the illness. And I remember asking him if he wanted to go outside with me, and him saying yes, and then him getting himself up to sit on the edge of the bed. I remember thinking he'd join me in a minute, and then a few hours would go by and I'd go back and he was still sitting there on the edge of the bed. And so finally I just decided that I was going to take him with me. So I remember lifting him off the bed and putting him in his wheelchair and wheeling him out into the sunshine, and it was an unusually sunny day for February at that time in England, and we just kind of sat together and enjoyed the evening. And I remember the very next day my mum waking me up to tell me that he had passed away in the night. So I think that thereafter, grief was a strange thing for me. I think that at first I felt very numb. I felt like I didn't really know what to feel at all. And I was going through a lot of changes in my life as well, moving to Canada with my family and starting a new life here. And I remember that I would suddenly get these waves of grief coming over me kind of out of nowhere, and I found it really difficult to deal with university and normal life. And so eventually I decided to reach out to Bereaved Families of Ontario in Ottawa, which my mum had also found a lot of great support from, as she had attended it herself. And I remember it was really scary the first time going to the support and share night. It's got a lot of people that you don't know, and you got to tell a fairly personal story. But what I found was really fantastic about being able to tell your story and to listen to others was that these were people who really understood what you were going through. I of course had my friends who would be open to listening to me, but it just sometimes didn't feel like they understood as much what I was really going through, and didn't have that personal lived experience as the other people did in BFO. I found that going to this group really lifted a great weight off my shoulders and allowed me to process my grief so that I could go back to dealing with normal life as a 20-year-old living in Ottawa. I then later decided to get involved as a volunteer facilitator, and what I really wanted to do is try to open up BFO to be more accessible to people who were younger, so around my age and in high school. So I started developing the youth group, which allowed young people of around high school age to come together and to share their stories of loss, when often you can feel a bit unusual having lost a parent at that age, as I did. We would come together and do drawings or writing, and I really enjoyed being able to facilitate this group and to give back to this particular demographic which I felt I was a part of. I think that overall what BFO really taught me was that it's really important to have a sense of community. It's really important, even if it's with loved ones in your circle or with an organisation such as BFO, to have people who are able to support you and to listen to you and to be there when you need them, when you're going through grief. I think it also showed me that often you never get over grief, that often it can come back in the most inconvenient ways, or all of a sudden you can have this sudden feeling of sadness when listening to a song that you used to listen to with the loved one, or when watching a movie that you used to enjoy together. I think though that overall, I would say from my experience, from both being a participant in BFO and then being a facilitator, is that BFO is a really vital mental health initiative to help people come through difficulties experienced with grief and loss, and to hopefully find comfort in that.